Hello everyone, welcome back for another story from St. John the Baptist, Dixie Anglican Church. My name is Janice Kretschmann and I'd like to welcome you to the circle today. Wherever you are when you are watching this and whenever it is you are watching this and whoever you might be watching this with, thank you for being here. It's very good to have you join us today. Well, today's story is not another parable. This is clearly not a gold parable box. But I will explain what it is in just a moment. First, let's begin as we always do. There was once someone who said such wonderful things and who did such amazing things that people began to follow them. And then one day they just had to ask, "Who are you?" And this person answered, "I am the light." Well, the light couldn't stay in just that time, in just that place, or with just those people. So the light changed. The light changed so it could be in all places, at all times, and with all people. Where you are today and where I am today, that same light is with us. Well, are you ready for a story? Let's get ready and let's begin. This is a piece of the desert. So many wonderful and important things happened in the desert, and we need to know what it's like. The desert is a beautiful and a dangerous place. It's always moving, always changing, which is fascinating and exciting, but it also makes it hard to remember just where you are. There's very little water, so you have to be careful and take water with you, because you can die if you don't find water. Almost nothing grows there, so there is almost nothing to eat. In the daytime it can get so hot and the sun scorches your skin, and at night it can get very cold. When the wind blows, the sand stings when it hits you. People wear many clothes to protect themselves from the sun and the blowing sand. The desert is a beautiful and a dangerous place. People who go into the desert have to be careful. When the flood was over, the creatures went out in all the four directions of the earth to fill it up with life again. They often gathered along the rivers. The people lived in small villages and then cities. One of the most ancient and greatest of these cities was called Ur. In the city of Ur, the people believed that there were many gods. There was a god for every tree, every rock, every flower. There was a god of the sky, the clouds, the water, and the land. The world was alive with gods. But there was one family who believed that all of God was in every place. They didn't know that yet, but that's what they thought. Abram and Sarai were part of that family. When it came time to move to a new place, they weren't sure that God would be there, so they wondered what the new place would be like. They walked towards Haran with their sheep and their donkeys. All the old people and the children went too. They slept in their tents at night, and during the day they walked along the great river called the Euphrates. It showed them the way and gave them and all their animals water to drink. It took a long, long time. Finally, they met people coming out from Haran. Then they knew the journey was almost over. Then they were there. Sometimes Abram would go out to the edge of the desert and look out across the sand and into the sky. There God came so close to Abram, and Abram came so close to God, that he knew what God wanted him to do. God wanted Abram and Sarai to move on again to another new place. Abram and Sarai did what God said. They went into the desert to the west of Haran and walked towards Canaan. They went with all their sheep, their tents, and their many helpers. Abram's brother's son, Lot, also went with them. This time there was no river to show the way or to give them water to drink. They finally came to a place called Shechem. Abram climbed up a hill and prayed to God, and God was there. So Abram built an altar to mark the place. Then they went on. Next, they came to a place near Bethel. Abram prayed again, and God was there also. Abram built an altar to mark this place too. God was not just here or just there. All of God was everywhere. Then they went on to Hebron to make their home, near the oaks of Mamre. One night, God brought Abram outside. He looked up into the sky. God came so close to Abram, and Abram came so close to God, that Abram knew what God was saying. You will become the father of a great family, and Sarai will be the mother. The members of that great family will be as many as there are stars in the sky, and as many as there are grains of sand in the desert. Abram laughed. He and Sarai were very old. God's promise sounded impossible, but God said to change their names anyway. Abram was to be called Abraham, and Sarai was to be called Sarah. One day, 3 strangers came out of the desert. Abraham was sitting by his tent. He invited them in, and Sarah mixed 3 measures of flour, which is a lot. She gave them bread and meat to eat, and milk and water to drink, as was the custom. They told Abraham that he and Sarah would have a son, and Abraham laughed. Sarah was standing by the tent and heard them. She laughed too. They were too old. The 3 strangers went on their way. And do you know what happened? Abraham and Sarah had a son. They laughed again, so they named the baby Laughter. In their language, the word for laughter is Isaac. When the boy was grown, old Sarah died. She was buried in the cave near the oaks of Mamre. Abraham was lonely. He missed Sarah very much, but there was one more thing he had to do. He sent his most trusted helper back to the land of his people to find a wife for Isaac. Abraham's helper stopped by a well in the evening. Rebekah offered to give him some water to drink. She then helped him give water to his animals. She was as full of courage as she was kind. Rebekah then invited him home. He told her family about Abraham and Sarah and the great family. Rebekah decided she would like to be part of that great family. So they went across the desert and then past Shechem and past Bethel toward Hebron. Isaac saw them coming and came out to meet them. Then Isaac and Rebekah were married. Old Abraham was now very old and full of years. He died and was buried with Sarah in a cave by the trees. Then Isaac and Rebekah had children, and their children had children, and those children had children. This went on for thousands and thousands of years, until your grandmothers and grandfathers had children. Then your mothers and fathers had children. And now you are part of that great family, which has become as many as the stars in the sky and as many as the grains of sand in the desert.
Well, I wonder what part of this story you liked best. One of the characters, maybe? Here are Abraham and Sarah again. One of the places they visited, one of the things that happened. I wonder what part was your favorite. I wonder what part of this whole story is about you, where you find yourself in the story. And I wonder, more so with this story, for me, more so with this story than some of the others, I wonder if there's any part of this story that we can leave out and still have everything we need to tell the story. One of the cities, maybe? One of the altars, maybe? One of the characters, maybe? I don't know. Is there any part of what happened that we can leave out and still have what we need? It's a big story, isn't it? It's a big story about a big family. And I wonder what story we'll have next week. I hope you'll be able to join us. Hope you'll be able to be here for the story next week. In the meantime, have a good time, take care of everyone, look after yourself, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now, everyone.